Hey cousins!
What up,
Hey.
what up, what up,
What's
what up?
Welcome back to Black Mental Health Conversations. I am the Dr. Lashaunda.
The Dr. Lashaunda. I am the glad dad.
That's
Dion.
That's me.
Oh, I guess I gotta say I am the Sonya Wood.
What's up? What's
Hello,
up?
everybody.
And on today's episode, we are talking about Black family dynamics and as it pertains to mental health and how the Black family responds to mental health. So I want to pose a question to the group, and I want to ask y'all, why is it that as Black folks in the families that we come from, historically, mental health is not even just mental health, but sensitive topics are oftentimes swept under the rug, right? Like we all know, we all have a family member who is a little touched. We all have some sort of issue, skeletons in the closet. A lot of families have skeletons in the closet. Sensitive topics like molestation and substance abuse.
Yeah.
Oftentimes those things are swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Me. What? Me. So.
The Dr. Lashaunda.
What I think is, I really think Sonya said this in a previous conversation, but Black families have this thing of what happens in this house stays in this house.
Yes.
Did y'all grow up like that?
Not really. Not really. I mean, there wasn't really a lot going on in my house, so
Yeah.
I didn't really have that problem. But
Yeah. I think you said before, kinda, but not.
Yeah. It was never stated, but it was more so of you don't go to school telling the teacher your business.
Right.
And I'm looking like, what business am I telling the teacher?
Right.
But now looking back on it, maybe if it was an argument in the house,
Yeah.
or maybe if there was no food in the home, or maybe if we didn't have dinner prepared traditionally at nighttime, something along those lines. Whatever could bring some shame, I'm assuming, or scrutiny to the family, it was something that we was taught at an early age to be deceitful and not taking folk business at the house.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think it was said, but I think it was kind of understood. But I think that, like, historically, it was a protective measure,
Yeah.
right, in slavery. And just, we didn't trust systems because of white supremacy and all these things we talk about, but we didn't trust the system. So we said, if you tell somebody something, there's gonna be an issue that comes from it, right? Kids gonna get removed from the home. DSS gonna get involved.
Right.
People going to jail, right? I imagine now that undocumented immigrant families are having that conversation.
Yes.
Don't tell nobody about who coming in this is staying in this house, So, but I think for Black families, it was protective, but then it covered up stuff like molestation and pedophilia and just different, like, domestic violence. It just covered it up.
I agree. And thinking back on it now, as I'm older now, I remember one of my friends that I've known real good. He had a cousin that was the nephew of the mother. Now I'm going to say it again. He was the nephew of the mother, meaning that his auntie raised him to be her child. And he didn't know that the auntie is his actual child. I mean, his auntie, he know that the auntie was his auntie. And his cousin is really his mom. And I think he's probably like 20 years old now plus, and I asked my friend like a year ago, I said, so do y'all ever tell him? He was like, I don't even know. Man, they weren't in my business no more. So those things happen a lot too. Yeah.
But that, even to that point, in our communities, we be like, it ain't our business.
It ain't our business.
Right? Like, we don't tell people stuff, even if it's within our family. Like you were just saying, like, we had a cousin who was, who said she was molested, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so by a man who was in our family, none of us addressed it because it's like, it's not our business. We can't get into that. That's their house. We can't, you know. And I was younger. Now I'm older, you know. But I just remember like we don't talk about it. But it's protecting the perpetrator.
I'm you know, I posed the question and I'm processing the question that I posed because I'm thinking of it along a slightly different line.
Yeah.
About how fathers were taken out of the homes.
Okay.
Because if there was a man in the house, right, the mother couldn't receive certain benefits.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true too.
So you don't say what's going on in this house if there's a man here, you can't tell nobody, right? Because he's not supposed to be here because
That's good.
we're getting food stamps.
That's good.
Or we're in this government subsidized Section 8 or whatever it was back at the time, housing, and he's not going to be there. So along a deeper line, what goes on in this house not only strips us of the ability to have conversations about things that are going on if there's something harmful, but it teaches children how to keep secrets.
That part. That's what like, what did that do for us?
Right. And it put us in a position whereas now we all grew up with phrases like a child's place is to be seen and not heard. Right? So children aren't allowed to have those types of conversations because they've been told and it's been embedded in them that they don't have a voice.
Yeah.
So if you have stripped someone's voice from them from childbirth until early adulthood, when they are able to speak up and they are able to find their own voice, then they've gone 20, 30, 40, 50 years without having a voice.
Absolutely. And so I don't think that we realize how much in our community we are people pleasers. You know what I mean? And we think it's called being nice or being polite. So when someone asks us something, because this happened in our family, and this happened in my family. Y'all tell me if this happened in your family. If somebody lied, if like an adult, you can't say they lied. Did you?
First of all, you can't say the word lie.
You can. That's what it's a cuss word.
To this day, my son is not allowed to say lie to his grandma.
See,
He got to say fib.
Or told a story.
You got to tell a story.
You can't. My grandma used to say, "You calling me a lie?"
Oh yeah.
No, ma'am.
Pop you right in the mouth.
Even if she done said something all the way wrong.
You
can't do it. So we grew up people pleasing where we didn't want to confront people.
Definitely.
And we didn't want to set boundaries and we couldn't speak our truth. When you talk about the voice, and there's a researcher, I cannot remember her name, but she's in South Carolina. I think she's is there a South Carolina University?
University of South Carolina.
University of South Carolina? I think that's where she is. I can't remember. But if you're out there and you listening, shout out. She has research on your VPS, kind of like your GPS, but your VPS, your vocal positioning system.
Oh.
And how you use your voice and how as children we lost our voice because children are seen and not heard. And so now today you don't know how to use your voice. And then in my research for Black women specifically, there's a theory called self-silencing.
Okay.
Where we silence ourselves so that we're not an inconvenience to others, so we don't cause a bigger problem, so that we don't have to address like a hard thing, because that's hard for us, but we silence ourselves. And so all of that came from childhood. Black family dynamic.
Yeah, and I think that when you look at that, right, to me, it's you're dehumanizing a child, right? Because even though that child is younger than you, and again, I think we said it on the last episode, like, you know, we want to be sure that our children didn't speak out of turn, right? And you know, we see what happened when Emmett Till, when they thought that Emmett Till whistled at a white woman, right? So, you know, a lot of it could be rooted in protection, or what was thought to be protection and guarding and making sure that your children came home safe
Yep.
every day, because no parent wanted to bury their child and, you know, open casket and go through those things. But again, it has created a system to whereas our children now have been afraid to speak up when they are hurt. They don't know how to speak up. They don't know what to say. And then oftentimes, particularly when it comes to things like molestation and pedophilia and things like that, from what I've seen, the child isn't believed.
Yeah.
Right? So then you have to deal with the fact that if a young woman speaks out about, okay, well, your boyfriend or whatever touched me inappropriately, and the mom doesn't believe her.
Wow.
So now, like, what does that create? Like, what type of dynamic does that create? So I think it's so many layers to that, you know, seen and not heard. All of those things. There's so many layers to it, and it's been so damaging to us for so long.
Yeah.
But I think it's up to us to really break that cycle.
It is.
I agree. I think that now working with public service, I have met a lot of people that have had family history of things that happened to them with their parents or with their siblings or aunts or uncles. And one particular guy I met through my work, he asked me, I said, so why do you tell anybody about this? He said, because if I told somebody then, they'll be our livelihood. Where would I go? Where would I live at? So his mom knew about what was going on in the house, but his mom told him never to share about it because they'll be homeless. Or, well, now we're in a house, but they'll be homeless. So that in return caused him to go through the space of going through substance use, in and out of incarceration, just trying to kill himself. He had so much just anger and rage. He hated his mom to the point to where her passing away, he didn't even care. He thought about her was like, ugh, like, he said, because how did you birth me and love me, and the person who is also that loved me hurt me so bad, but you prefer to protect him versus your own child? So, and I think that really caused him to not be able to trust even me as his support person. And we had a hard time, but through the course of us talking to Sharon, it took a year plus where he found say, hey, Miss Sonya, I understand why you were so nice to me even when I was mean to you, and I appreciate that. Because I feel like now I can really trust you. But he went through a lot in this space because he was told not to share about his life.
I was never told not to share about my life necessarily, but I think where I understand him so much is that I felt like I couldn't share. So because of the circumstance, right? So for the guy you're talking about, it would have impacted their livelihood. I think for me, there was a couple of things. So when I was 14, I dated a guy that was older than me, who was 17. And my mom said, you can't date this guy. She told me I couldn't date the guy. I dated the guy anyway. So this guy, of course, had, he wanted to have sex. I was 14. I didn't want to have sex, but because I didn't have a voice, I didn't know how to say no. So we had sex, but I didn't want to have sex.
Right.
So it took me a long time to understand, because I said, no, I don't want to have sex.
Right.
But he was my boyfriend. Right? So there wasn't a fight, but I said, no, I don't want to have sex.
Right.
So it took me into my adulthood to understand that was rape. It took me into my adulthood. But I didn't share it because, and I shared it with my mom as an adult, but I didn't share it because it was an understanding of, in black family dynamics, right? That's going to be your fault. You can't get no pity. You can't say I'm walking around with this trauma or this shame related to this thing, because they're going to say, well, you was out there being fast. You shouldn't have been dating a boy anyway. What you doing, blah, blah, blah. And I dated him after. So there was a shame of like, how come I didn't know that I was violated in that way?
Right.
And I still dated this guy. Like there was shame of, if you share this, what would happen? And I don't know how anybody would have responded, but there was an understanding and a feeling that I couldn't share, right, with anybody. So literally recently I spoke at the Roots event in Durham, North Carolina, Realizing Our Opportunities Together, which is an amazing opportunity for Black owned businesses to come together and talk and whatever. We did this panel and they asked a question about it, about something. And I said that for the first time on the mic. And I caught myself, like after I said it, like, I said it. Oh my God, now, and it was this idea of now the world's gonna know.
Right.
So like people close to me know. I've dealt with it in therapy. I talk about it. I have a workbook, Unpack Your SHIT, Your Shame, Hurts, Insecurities, and Thoughts. It's based on that. And I share that in like small groups, but I've never shared it out loud.
Right.
So this is now my second time. So whoever see this podcast gonna see it. But there was a shame that if I talk about it, my reputation or who I am is going to be tarnished. Or what does that mean about me as a person who, like, how do you say you were raped, but it was your boyfriend and you didn't fight? You said no, but you didn't fight. And you still dated him after. You know what I mean? So for me, that was more of a Black family dynamic that, like, I can't say anything about this.
Right.
My family's not going to understand that. Like, that is going to be my fault.
Number one, thank you for sharing that story.
Definitely. Definitely.
I think that was very brave and courageous of you to share that story in this space with us. So thank you. But also, I think what you said is a testament to the fact that a couple of things. Number one, we live in a society where Black women aren't valued, right? Because the world that we live in will put the blame on a 14-year-old girl and say she was being fast and not 17, 18-year-old boy who is taking advantage of that 14-year-old girl.
Right.
And I think on a macro scale, right, it becomes even more important to, when you were 14, that was 1990 something. Sure, I don't know.
No.
It was 2000s?
It was, yeah.
I forgot. You young. I forgot. You a baby. I was a kid. I'm sorry. My goodness. You was 14.
I'm 36.
You was 14 in the two. You was a teenager in the 2000s.
In the 99 and 2000.
God. Okay.
It was probably 2002.
You were a teenager.
Maybe 2002.
I
Maybe.
was good and grown in the 2000s. Okay, that's another topic for another day. It brings to mind the importance of, I said, believing Black women, right? And this world that we live in, even now, right? Probably 35 plus years ago, there was this woman by the name of Anita Hill. Anita Hill said, you can't put that man on the Supreme Court because he sexually harassed me. He did all these things. He showed me porn in the office. He pubic hairs on a Coca-Cola can. And the world looked at Anita Hill and said, nah, she lying.
Right.
That's cap. Like, she lying. No, we can't do that. Me Too movement happens years later.
Right.
Not only that, but now we see the impact that man is having on the world. We see that he is solely responsible for things like Roe versus Wade being overturned. There was a decision last week where they said that people who commit acts of domestic violence can't own guns.
Yeah.
He was the only one that voted to say, even the everybody else, John Roberts, all the other conservative judges say, no, you commit domestic violence, you don't need no gun.
You don't need none.
You don't need no gun. Homeboy said, no, you good.
You good.
You straight.
Trust you.
Right. But where would we be as a country if we would have believed that Black woman in 1990, whatever year
Right.
it was.
And as a black community, why didn't we?
Why didn't we?
Right.
Where did we learn that?
Yeah.
And I feel like we're saying as children, that ain't our business. As children and in our families, we learn that's not our business over there. Or you had to do something to bring on this, you know, victimization. Like you did something. You asked for it.
You were dressed and provocative.
You was out
Your dress
there.
was too short. You know.
Yeah.
I want to say this. When you were sharing your story, I felt compelled to give you a hug. I'm not sure why. I'm an empathy for heart. I do. Really, I do. Definitely. Just know that.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. And just speaking out with a lot of our kids now who are social media influenced and are dating guys that may be in the inboxes like, because I see you looking cute today.
Right.
What can you tell or what words can you give someone that may be experiencing what you have experienced or is in the same situation or has been, like now we're in 2024,
Right.
What words of encouragement can you provide or share to someone that maybe males too?
Yeah.
Because males also be affected as well by older women.
Yeah.
What can you share, or if somebody's listening, like what can you provide to help support a person to help to minimize that shame
Right.
or discomfort of sharing about that?
That's a great question. And the first thing I say is my research is on self-worth.
Right.
So and for black women specifically, because of my own journey. And so I would encourage everybody to know your worth and your value. And that's a hard thing. I mean, that's such a blanket thing to say because people are like, well, how do I know? I mean, so kind of understanding and mitigating and considering, thinking about what you taking in.
Right.
Don't be watching Bad Girls Club all day. Don't be watching Love and Hip Hop all day. Don't watch, because what you're now thinking is this is how I need to portray myself and this is normal.
Right.
Different things that they go through on it. Like, don't get me wrong now, Real Housewives of Atlanta is my show. Okay, all right, I'm gonna watch Basketball Wives. I'm gonna do some of that. But I'm saying, don't understand who you are innately as a black woman.
Right.
As a woman, understand the power you hold. Because today, I understand the power in being a black woman.
Yeah.
I understand that you can move a whole room with your presence. But when I didn't understand that, I was giving myself away to people, places, and things that couldn't afford me.
Got you.
So I would say understand who you are, understand the power you hold, and understand the room moves to you. It's like the world is going to revolve around you. And that's not a self-centeredness, that's a power, understanding your power. So that's the one thing I would say. What I'll also say may be controversial to people, but when I was 14, the boyfriend was 17, still a kid too.
Right.
At the end of the
I
day.
got you.
And I don't know that he fully understood consent. You know what I mean? He didn't understand.
Because boys aren't taught consent.
Right.
Right? Especially at that time. Like we're not taught what the meaning of consent is, right? I think I was probably again good and grown before I fully grasped the idea that if someone is intoxicated, they cannot give consent.
They can't get
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
That's not something that you're taught as a teenager.
No.
Like they're taught if you drink and she drink, or if you pass out, that it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So it's as a society, we aren't preparing our boys to even we're not preparing our young people at all for consent, because like if you go over a family member's house and your child feels uncomfortable around someone, and they say, I don't want to hug such and such, go get him a hug. Go get
That's
him a
your
hug.
uncle.
Right.
That's your aunt.
Yes.
That's
That consent starts there.
so
Right,
good.
that's where it starts.
That's
I
so
agree.
good.
And speaking about the home and what stays in the home, that's a perfect example of pressuring your children or whomever to give people hugs whom you do not want to. If my child, I don't have kids, but if my child said, Mom, I don't want to hug my uncle, baby, you don't have to hug anybody.
Catch that. Say it again.
If
I want
my
them to
daughter
catch
or
it.
son, whomever says, Mama, I don't want to hug my uncle, You don't have to.
Right.
You do not have to hug
Right.
anybody, your family member, because you're blood related. You don't have to hug anybody. Because it's a reason for you to feel discomfortable. Uncomfortable wanting to hug them anyway. It could have been a slight rub on the backside, a slight touch of the chest, whatever. Or just like let's call it the irks, the icks. It could be like an icky feeling you get, like, ugh, I just want to hug you, like, stop touching me.
Yeah.
One time on TikTok, this little girl said, her mom says, tell my granddaddy Happy Father's Day. She said, Mom, he's not my dad.
Right.
I'm not going to tell her Happy Father's Day.
Right.
Yo, she was like, but he's your granddad. She said, but he's not my dad. I'm going to tell my dad, that's your dad.
Yeah.
So she was like, wow, I would never ask him to do that again.
Well, we did not take feedback. Like, historically, parents didn't take feedback from their kids.
No.
That was not a thing. Don't tell me what you don't want to do. You
Right.
do what I tell you to do. You do it now. Now, that's what we call adaptive parenting. It's not maladaptive. It's adaptive to keep them safe. You mentioned this. Like, when you go out, you know, I need you to comply. So you come back home. All right. But, yeah, we don't let our children give us feedback or say what they do or don't want to do. Like, we take it so personal. Is that a generational thing, though?
I think it is.
Because I'm a millennial. Are you Gen X then? Or you on the cusp?
I was born in 1980, man. They don't even
you're-
have one for me.
They do. You start the millennial. So
What am I? Not millennial?
what's your year?
82.
Yes.
I'm
So we're all millennials. Because
I just learned this today.
some things say 96 to
Right.
2000 and some of them say 80 to 2000. Either way, y'all millennials.
I'm just old head.
So you can't call me a baby. You can't call me you're a millennial.
I'm just OG. Like,
So we have my mom is Gen X, and your mom is
baby boomer.
Boomer.
1962, what is that?
That's Boomer,
Okay, Boomer.
right? So yeah, like
Okay.
how do we like? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I've always been able to. No, but I was raised by my grandma a little bit.
Okay.
And you're not giving grandma feedback.
Nah.
You're not
at all.
telling her what you don't want to do.
No.
No, not happening.
We didn't even have the opportunity to even share about the food you're not going to eat.
Oh,
I remember my dad made some. Was it sauerkraut? What
What is that?
It's cabbage. That is not no cabbage.
Sauerkraut.
Can't
Put up a
stand
hot
it.
dog, don't you? Ain't what you want to hot
I think so.
Do you?
I think so. I think some people
What
do.
is it?
I think it's like I don't know. Let's look it up when we leave out here.
Oh,
It's like
sauerkraut. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's some type of
And it's S-A-U-E-R.
sauerkraut.
S-A-R-O-U-T, I think.
So he made sauerkraut, and I'm looking like, what? I'm not eating that. And he's like, you cannot leave until it's done.
Mhm.
So I would eat and swallow water. Eat and swallow water. To this day, you cannot pay me. And having a chronic gastrointestinal disease, if I would have known, they didn't even know that I had things going on in my life that where I couldn't really tolerate it, couldn't eat it for real.
So
So I was made to eat something that made me sicker.
Listen
you know?
to this. Sauerkraut is finely cut raw cabbage that has been fermented by various lactic acid bacteria. That is what they told you to eat.
Yes.
So that's why what's wrong with us now, because we ate all these pig feet and sauerkraut. See?
See? But we was told you have to eat whatever was prepared.
Right.
Now children have more. Well, some kids have more of like special diets go through. Some kids are more like what the kid call like
Like,
lactose intolerance, or they may have like
gluten free.
gluten free, or celiac disease.
Yeah.
So you have to eat. But now I love how foods are. But back in the day, you can only eat what was prepared.
Yeah.
It made you sick. Guess what? You won't eat. You go to bed hungry.
You go to bed hungry.
That's not okay.
No, I carry some of that into my parenting.
Okay.
Some of that. But I want to ask this question because I think we talk about Black family dynamics. Like, I have to ask this. Like, I feel like in Black families, what we have seen is that in Black families, people can't grow up. You are a child forever. So in my family, we have to say aunt or uncle, whomever. Don't call them by their first name without putting that in there, you know? It got to be Uncle James Earl, Aunt Marilyn, Aunt Sal, right? My mom is Aunt Shell, right,
Okay.
to the people. But you can't just, you better not call her Michelle or just say Marilyn or whatever. And I feel like that you guys say yes ma'am, no ma'am. You gotta do what your parents say all your whole life.
Mhm.
Now, is that just my black family, or is that your black family too?
I don't think, for me, my personal experience, that's not my family, because I have members of my family who call their mom by her first name.
Oh no, they didn't.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, so
I ain't
look.
come to your family reunion.
So look, a couple of years ago, my mom lives with us now, and I called her, and I said, "Hey, Trisha Ann." She looked at me,
No, you
she
didn't,
said-
Trisha Ann.
She said, what did you just say? Well, I was just joking. I was just playing. I was just playing. It was just a joke.
That's how you gotta do it. I'm just playing.
Right. Look, Kiki.
But yeah, but for us, like we have people who, like, I don't call I didn't even know that black people put like aunt and uncle in front of that until like my wife says it.
Mhm.
Like, I think she has like people in her family she refers to as aunt such and such, uncle such and such. That was never a thing for me. All my aunts and uncles, I call them by their first name. But for us, I'm just trying to think, and like whole family wise, like I think my family has done a good job of like letting people
Fly free.
yeah, and just grow up.
It's good.
But I also, it would be my wish if I come from a big family. Like my mom has 8 brothers and sisters. She's the second youngest of 9. So it's a lot of them, and I got a lot of cousins. And I feel like if we were a smaller family, it might be different.
Okay.
Right? But because
so spread out.
so spread out, age differences, like I got uncles and cousins that are, similar in age, you know what I'm saying? I just think that's a little bit different. But yeah, I think they've done a good job of kind of just like letting people,
Grow.
just grow and mature and kind of be themselves.
Yeah.
In my family, thinking about it now, I feel a little envious of the fact that my family never pressured or made us aware to call our aunties and uncles auntie and uncle. Now I have my own niece and nephews. The proudest moment of them calling me Aunt Renika. Auntie, what you do? I mean, when they say auntie, I want to cry. I'm getting teary right now because being an aunt to me is such an honor. And they call me Aunt Renika. You know what happens? I said, what happened, girl? I be so in tune to their conversation, but I was never told to call my aunties to uncle, auntie, and uncle.
What'd you call them?
Hey, Uncle say, hey, Skeeter. Hey, Phyllis.
Yeah.
But when I talk about them, I said my Aunt Phyllis and my Uncle Skeeter.
For sure.
But now, even my dad, and this is one of the things that I regret in life, is that my dad got me when I was 6 years old. And I never called my dad I never called him Daddy. I never called his name. I never be like, I'm like, hey, I'm hungry. I never say, Daddy, I'm hungry. I'd be like, Ronnie. And all he wanted was me to say Daddy to him.
Yeah.
I got him at in my mind, a later age in my life to where I had kind of missed that daddy mark. I don't know. And then what I was told about him was the good things, but still, I was so accomplished saying the word daddy. Not because he's a bad man. He was a great man. I just didn't know how long it would have lasted. Because think about it, coming from my mom's house to my dad's house, keeping me, that's my mom. My dad was not present my first 6 years of life.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I didn't know what this was. Like, am I just visiting y'all? Am I staying?
Right.
So, hey, well, I didn't call him nothing. But the best man in my life, my dad, he was such an awesome, he passed away my freshman year of college. So I only had him about 12 years of my life. So I feel so regretful that I did not give him the one thing he really wanted me to call him dad. So now I really admire my nieces and calling me auntie, and I really emphasize now as an older adult, hey Aunt Phil, what you doing, girl? I call her because I know better now.
Yeah.
But I was never taught that growing up though.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think what's really refreshing about that story, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
What's really refreshing is that it kind of shifts this conversation to talking about the things that we learn from our black families, that we can do better moving forward. Right? Because there's so many, there's probably generational bad habits that we've taken with us. What was the good? Even if it was a bad circumstance, what did you learn from it so that you can break that generational curse so you can do better moving forward?
Well, I know me, what I learned is that and this may be a little off topic, but when I connect a word aunt or uncle to my family members, it gives more meaning behind it.
Yeah.
So I really want to emphasize that. Calling about a person their first name is okay, but when I say my aunt, my uncle, I'm identifying who they are in my life,
To me.
who they are in my family, what connection we have as my mother's only living sister, the second person who's the mother figure to me.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I hear her name, Phyllis, like, oh yes, my aunt, girl, I love her so much. It gives meaning behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to emphasize more of being more personable and just trying to said it's okay to have those titles around people's names.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I think it's important for people to know that in the interpersonal development that you're talking about, like the interpersonal stuff, is mental health.
Right, it
It
is.
is. It does impact your well-being, because what you're saying is it gives you a connection,
Definitely.
emotional, spiritual, mental, mental, spiritual connection to somebody in your family,
Mm-hmm.
and that can have great benefits to our mental and emotional health.
I agree.
Thank you for that.
You know, I didn't prepare for this to be a therapy session today.
Yeah.
Why not? Talk about it.
I didn't. I already had my therapy this morning. I've already had my session. I'm good for the next 2 weeks, actually.
Okay.
But as this conversation is going on, it reminds me, I said, again, I grew up first names, my aunts and uncles. But as I think about it, I now, as an adult, refer to them as aunt and uncle.
Uh-huh.
That started, for the most part, for me, I believe, like as you're talking, I'm trying to remember when it started. I think it started for me as my daughter was getting older.
Mm-hmm.
Now my daughter, on the other hand, will refer to all of her, these are her great aunts and uncles now,
Mm-hmm.
aunt such and such, uncle such and such. And that is how I kind of transition into, so even as I talk to my mom, and I'll be like, yo, how is aunt such and such and such? How is boom, 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 boom. But also this conversation is making me think about the value that I have began to place on my elders.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe a couple of years ago, I realized that I was at the age that my mother was when she started losing her aunts and uncles, right? I lost my aunt when you asked me the last episode about January 6th, and if my aunt had a stroke that day.
Wow.
This is my mother's oldest sister, her oldest sibling. She had a stroke. She ended up passing away a couple of days later. As I get older, I began to put more value on those relationships. A couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I just decided, just out of the blue, I wanted to find out what like all their favorite restaurants are and send them $25 gift cards to their favorite restaurant, right? And now like I find value in like speaking to my uncles and having conversations with them as Black men, because these were conversations that began, because we have such a big family. I wasn't able to really get them to, to pull from them as much as I may have been able to if we had a smaller family. But now at 44, it's like, man, like they're not going to be here forever. So where's the wisdom that I can pull from them? Where is the memories and all of these things that we need to pass along from generation to generation?
Yeah.
Because life is so short.
Definitely.
Can I do something? Y'all are, I'm getting very emotional, but I have one, my grandmother has one sibling left, my Uncle Junior,
Okay.
who is in New York. And I want to call him on FaceTime right now.
Call Uncle Junior.
Can I call him?
Get Uncle Junior on the phone.
Yeah.
Because he'll FaceTime me periodically. And how old is Uncle Junior?
Nobody knows.
Nobody really knows.
Really?
He's the oldest. He was the only boy. So it's my grandma Marlene, her sister Effie, and then my Uncle Junior. And he's the oldest. And he's in New York. He comes down.
How old is Uncle Junior? You say nobody knows.
Nobody knows. I'm gonna ask him right now. I hope I don't get in trouble. I'm gonna ask him. Let me see if I can FaceTime him real quick. Because I'm gonna let him know that we're talking about family legacy and stuff, and see if he will He'll just FaceTime me out the blue.
That's good.
So he better answer when I FaceTime him. Uncle! How you doing?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm good. I miss you.
Huh?
I miss you.
Yeah, well, where you at?
Huh?
Where you at now?
I'm at home in North Carolina. When you coming down?
I was down there, but I forgot to come down there.
No, you didn't. That ain't funny. That ain't funny, Uncle. Look, I'm doing a podcast right now,
Oh, yeah.
and we talking about black families.
Oh, yeah.
Can you meet my friends?
Mm-hmm.
That's my friend Dion.
Hi, Uncle Junior. How you doing, sir?
How you doing? All right.
Good to see you.
This my friend Sonya.
Hey.
Oh, hey, Sonny. All right.
Hold on, look, Anthony over there. I don't know how to switch this around. Hold on. You see Anthony over there?
What's up, man?
So look, we're talking about black families, and I said I gotta call my Uncle Junior because he is the last of the siblings of Grandma, and you the last one, and we're talking about passing knowledge down, and so in honoring our elders and respecting them, honoring them, their knowledge, their wisdom.
Right.
And I said, this is my only great uncle. You the last one.
Yeah, sure is the last one here.
And I got emotional because I don't see you enough.
I know. Yeah, cause I come down, I forget, Papa got about to say your cousin.
No, because you hang out at Uncle James' house all the time. But I wanted to take a break from what we were doing and call you and say I love you and I miss you and I appreciate you. So Uncle Junior, I realize nobody know how old you are. How old are you?
86.
86. Okay. You still young. But look, let me ask you one last thing. What is your biggest wish for our family? Or what is something you can share from an elder for us young folk? Look at that young man right there. That young lady right there, right? What can you share with us?
Well, not too much, what I've been, I just be doing what I have to do, get up every morning, move around, and do what I have to do, and keep moving,
Yeah.
Still doing a little work, so,
How can us young people live a long life like you?
I don't know, but I feel it. I just keep going to the doctor. She tell me whatever I'm doing to keep going, so everything is good,
I know that's right. You slow down on some of that stuff you're doing. I'm not gonna say.
Yeah, well, I do, right?
So Uncle Junior, how old is your youngest child?
She's 12.
12. So you slow down on some of this stuff, sir. Am I embarrassing you? I know I'm not.
No.
Are you crying? You gonna make me cry.
No, I ain't crying.
And you keep wiping, you wiping both eyes.
Yeah, no, I wasn't crying.
Okay. Well, I love you.
But I love you too. Yeah.
And look, Uncle Junior, I always call you Uncle Junior. Now, if I were to call you Gorham, would you whoop me?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, I told him. I said, I can't do it. I'm going to get in trouble.
My mom called me from Charlotte and all that, but go on really my name.
Yeah. Well, I ain't calling you Gorham or Charlie. You going to be Uncle Junior.
Right. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, that's all what they used to call me when I was home.
When you were out here. You were out here.
Right.
You was outside.
Crazy. Well, I just want to call you, say I love you.
All right, well, I love you too. I love you more.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
That's it. My sibling always say I love you more. That's the sweetest. I think you made his day.
I don't know what it was that you were saying, but like what I don't know if you said it or I just felt it in my spirit as you were saying it. But like, you don't always have time,
No.
and we have to like honor our families and our elders. And, you know, I know that the millennials and the Gen Zs, we moving things forward and we're having these conversations, but our elders do, like, they sacrifice for us, and, you know, we got to honor them.
That's a fact.
Definitely, I agree with 100%.
Thank y'all for allowing me to do that.
Oh,
They called right on the spot, because I was just like, I got to.
I just have one question. How old is Uncle Junior's daughter's mother? If I may ask.
I don't know, but young.
Okay.
Like, when I say young, like my age probably. Okay, he got it like that. Uncle Junior got like 30 kids.
Gosh almighty.
He got like 20. I don't want to get the number wrong. Cut this out. But he got a lot of them.
So you said young, I'm thinking you would say like, maybe like around your age.
I mean about 30, you know,
Yeah.
35, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
say 12. My God.
Yes. Oh my, he got a story. You know what? I gotta get him on the podcast. He got a story. He got a story. I'm gonna let him tell it.
But thank you for like even taking this moment and allowing me to be a part of that space with you as well. I think it was really dope.
Yeah. We'll add this in somewhere.
Yeah.
But black families are important.
Definitely.
What they pass us is important. What we pass on through our family relationships, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's important.
It's definitely important.
Thank y'all for having this conversation.
Thank you for allowing the space to have this conversation.
I don't think I said it in the beginning. Maybe I did. Like,
Share. Subscribe.
Share and subscribe. Click the link below.
click wherever the link is. You click it.
Side up or down.
Right.
Wherever it's at.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell.
Ding, ding, ding.
Comment.
Yeah.
Right? All of that. But as y'all can see, we might start somewhere and we go so wherever it moves us, because this is what it means. So
Yes.
like if you are talking to your family, you sit on your couch at your dinner table and y'all talking about mental health, pick up the phone and FaceTime your Uncle Junior. Okay? Because tomorrow's not promised. And tell somebody you love them. Like, have those strong connections, honor your elders. Also understand that as a child, you know, there's certain things that we did out of protection or just unhealthiness, and like whatever. You can grow, you can learn from it, and you can produce something different in your family. Like your family can be changed because of you. So have the conversations, but
Be that change agent that I really been talking about a lot.
Difference maker.
that's what it is. That's what we want to do in this space. We want to equip you for that. Until next time,
All right.
we'll see y'all next time. Bring it in, cousins.